Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Chalk for Living. Thanks for joining me today. Well, since I'm only going to be on this property for 3 more months, I thought I would come down here and shoot in the big house over these next few months, shoot from as many different backgrounds and locations on this property as possible because I'll be missing this place this summer when I'm back in Alabama, trying to find a place to shoot every day because there's like some sort of machine going. They're so into their lawns. There will be a machine going outside almost every day, and I just don't have the backdrops and the lighting. So I thought I would do it from here. Anyhow, just wanted to talk about raw vegan change, any real change. I'm just kind of trying to talk about change today. So I do videos like this every day on the raw vegan lifestyle, a plant-based lifestyle in general, fitness, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of philosophy on the weekends. So if you're not already subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button now and come back and watch more. And when you hit the subscribe button, click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. I've been thinking about this. I've had this like kind of a version of this title written down on my phone in my notes for about a week or two now, and I've been kind of pondering it over. I get questions, as my channel continues to grow and I have more people watching, I get questions all the time. And sometimes I get questions about things and I literally get like stopped. Like I stop and I think about it and I think about how I did it. And I almost kind of have that feeling I had back when I was in school, like trying to come up with an answer to write for an essay question or something, because my process is just my process, and things just seem to have, in the last 5 years, I've found a lot of times it's hard to convey what I'm trying to convey. It's hard to translate a feeling to people. It's sometimes hard to translate your particular process, because all the change I've made in the last 5 years, which I'll extrapolate to a bigger perspective, just things in general, and I do understand that not everybody processes things the same way, but for me, I have found that real change of any kind happens instantaneously, just like that. Boom, it's done, end of story. And everything else I've kind of found is just like fooling yourself, or I found like any changes I thought I had made in the past up to a certain point, I was just fooling myself, kind of wishing, kind of hoping I'll make the changes, but I had not really made the change, because once I made changes, they happen just like that. Now, when I say the changes happen just like that, and especially as we apply them to this raw vegan lifestyle, I'll start out by talking about how it is applicable to the raw vegan lifestyle. Now, what I'm saying is when you decide to go raw vegan, or if you decide to go raw vegan, high carb vegan, whatever changes you're making to the way you eat, I'm not saying that immediately, like you just decide and you're raw vegan and you're going to be doing a perfect version of whatever your vision is of a perfect version, or what version you want to do of the lifestyle. I'm not saying immediately like all the struggles are going to go away and it's just going to boom. You've just decided, so it falls into line. But to a certain extent, it kind of does, just not all the way. Listen, there's still going to be things to work out. Let's say today you did make that profound change. You made the real change and you decided to you're going to be raw vegan, fully raw, however high you're going to be. It still requires a process. It still requires you having a plan. It still requires you doing a transition at a rate which is comfortable for you. But the real change has already been made. You're just working out the details after that. Like I said, a lot of the stuff for me, when people say, well, how to do this, how to do that, I'm not being evasive. I'm not trying to just only answer easy questions, but my process has just been a flow. It happens. It unfolds. There's not a whole lot of, well, okay, now you want to do this, this, and this. The changes, and I get asked about whether it comes to food, smoking. I get asked all the time about stopping smoking, about stopping drinking. And with all those things, it really just came from up here. It came from a switch flipping and just deciding I don't smoke anymore. When I decided I wasn't going to smoke anymore, or when I decided I was going to make the big general health change, Like I had, I'd abused my body with alcohol for 30 years. I had eaten bad food. I was getting, I was in my late 40s. I knew I was going to have to pay the piper eventually. So I knew once I made that one, there was one decision I made. And when I made it, it was just like nothing. I never went backwards. I was always moving forward, always searching for a little bit more of something else that would give me better health or better information on health. But from the day that I decided that it was time to start improving my health, and all of it's kind of happened around the same time. Stopped smoking, stopped drinking, and started eating better. I hadn't found the raw vegan lifestyle yet, but boom, I had made that switch. And that switch had been so profound that I knew that it was going to happen when I knew I was going to get healthy this time. And as I knew that, I had weight to lose. I lost more than that, and that's a different story, but I had at least 20 pounds to lose, 25 pounds to lose. I was so sure that this was the time, this was going to be it, that I almost purposely packed on some pounds, gained some weight, ate some bad stuff before I decided to get healthy, just so I would have a better before story. The only reason I'm telling you that is because, like I say, I was so dialed in my head that I knew that I was going to make these changes. Didn't know they were going to be vegan, didn't know I was going to be raw vegan or even find that little way of thinking, but I knew that I was going in a certain direction. So I just flipped that switch. And one thing I was immediately vegan. Once I had flipped that switch, when it came to the food part, and when I did start seeing the raw vegan stuff, that was another decision. All of a sudden there, boom, the decision evolved. I don't want to be too jumping around and unclear here. In the beginning, I just first made a decision like, okay, my health is it. I have got to take charge of my health. I've abused myself. So I didn't know about the raw vegan, didn't know about vegan, but I said, okay, whatever I have to study, whatever methods, I'm on a path now to getting my health back. When I very first weekend that I watched any videos, I started reading any information on raw vegan, it clicked. It made sense to me. I knew from that moment, I wasn't ever into this whole bullshit of, am I fully raw? Am I 100%? Am I striving to get to fully percent? No, it was always a health thing for me. But the raw vegan thing resonated. So I knew from early on that I was going to be high raw vegan. And I still would say 5 years later that, will I be fully raw? Do I strive to be fully raw? I don't know about fully raw, but I will be high raw. The high raw, I've seen what high raw has done for me. So from day one, I knew that was the path. From day one, I was vegan. That was there was no ifs, ands, and buts about that. There was no making excuses, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm doing this. I transitioned to raw vegan, but I didn't, once I decided on the vegan thing, it was vegan. Boom. Once I had seen things, there were certain things I couldn't unsee. And as I've talked about in my journey before, like the health aspect of the vegan lifestyle and the ethical aspect, I came to it because of the health, but it very quickly, the ethical part clicked, and the ethical part helped my health part. Because like I say, from day one, once I really started connecting with, made the connection between the animals and what people were eating, what I had been eating, vegan, that was it. I mean, it was going to be vegan. We'll figure out the raw part of it. So I had made that decision in an instant. The same with alcohol. People, I talk about, I drank for 30 years. I was a drunk. That's why I don't label myself necessarily an alcoholic, because people that label themselves alcoholics and have really struggled with the disease of it, don't just tend to walk away. And that's what I did. And I can't offer anything to people. People ask me a lot of times about that. Like, I'm struggling with drinking. Like, what did you do? Almost like I had I didn't use a program. I didn't use the 12-step thing. I didn't go to rehab. I didn't use anything formal. Just for me, it was just done. I was tired of feeling like that. I was tired of what drinking had brought to my life. So boom, I just, in like the day I decided, there was 2 phases to that too. There was the phase when I decided to get healthy, which was in January of 2012. from that point, I never got drunk again. I kind of fell back into this. Well, I wouldn't even say falling back. It was just part of my journey, part of my discovery. That whole like, well, red wine's good for your heart. So I did start back after a couple of months of not drinking. Back like in March, I had a couple of months, 3 months of drinking a glass of red wine every day for your heart health. Now, I'm not going to get into that. If you like, that's I'm not going to get into that debate. I decided no, that wasn't for me. And then when I started exploring the raw vegan lifestyle in June of that year, that's when I decided, no, I don't need to drink anymore. I didn't do anything other than just decide, boom, I'm not going to drink anymore. The same with the smoking. It was a pain in the butt. I don't feel like I was addicted to the nicotine. So for me, it was just like that kind of hand habit, for a few weeks, a month or so. It was kind of awkward. But the last time I decided to quit smoking, I just had decided I'm not going to smoke anymore. There was no real I can't say, well, here was my process, do this, 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 and this. It had just happened for me. It had been decided up here. A lot of my mental, a lot of the way that I live my life, the way that I look at life, my happiness, it finally clicked for me. And that clicked in a moment just like that. Like I determine my happiness. I determine how I'm feeling to the large extent. I can't control things outside. I can't control things around me, but I can control how I process them, and I can control how I feel about them. So, I almost around that same time, a lot of profound changes in about 5 years ago. About that same time, maybe a little bit later on that, I just decided. Boom, just like that. And it was another one of those instant decisions. I decided I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to be miserable. No, I'm not depressed. I used to talk about, oh, I'm depressed. And then I started studying depression. And no, I wasn't depressed. I was just whining. I was just like not being grateful for what I had around me. So I decided I was going to change the way that I express myself. I wasn't going to be that negative person anymore. So anyhow, just something to think about. Like I say, I don't want to preach on this. Don't want to say there's any one particular way of coming to it. But when the real change happens, you'll know it. You'll feel it. You just feel it. It's different from other things. It's different from going on a diet. I know a lot of people that watch this channel come because of the food aspect of it. It's different than the every week I'm going on a new diet or I'm going to recommit and this week I'm going to buckle down and I'm going to be raw vegan and I'm going to make it work. And in the back of your mind, you don't really know if you're going to make it work or not because you haven't made that switch. You haven't really decided what you're going to do. This is very powerful. The mind is very powerful. People overcome difficulties every day. People accomplish great things every day that people tell them they couldn't. So, you can run around and chase your tail, try to find 150 recipes, look for somebody that's going to tell you some little step-by-step way to do it. But in the end, it's all up here. Just decide you're going to do it. Once you decide you're going to do it, your process will kind of hone and you will figure out the details. But anyhow, just my 2 cents worth. Hope you guys like this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.